testimony now in support of LD 1080. Folks, as we get to 5, 6, or 7 on each side of this, generally speaking, a lot of the points are covered. So please take a look at your testimony and add to what other people have said. We appreciate it very much. Welcome. Good morning.
Hello, Senator Langley, Representative Cornfield, and members of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs. Thank you for allowing me to testify. My name is Marcel Pollack, and I'm an MSAD 44 school director from the town of Woodstock. I want to tell you a little bit about myself because it will inform you as to why I'm involved in this process. I am an immigrant to this country that benefited from a first-class public education in Brooklyn and Queens in working-class neighborhoods. My schools were financed by many of the wealthier neighborhoods and businesses in all of New York City. That public education also included free college at Queens College. My excellent and free public education allowed me to move up the social and economic ladder. I'm here today to pay my debt forward, as I strongly believe that public education is the great American democracy equalizer. I've lived in Woodstock for 38 years and served on the school board for 25 years. I'm the vice chair of the board, and I'm the chair of SAD 44's Newry Withdrawal Committee. Newry's withdrawal, I believe, is the greatest threat to public education in SAD 44 that I've seen in my years of service. Throughout the negotiating process for withdrawal, MSAD 44 has been negotiating in the best of faith and in a timely manner. The testimony of our mediator has been submitted. He said that each side had strong principled positions within which we could not find an acceptable compromise to meet their needs. Through the mediator, each had offered proposals and counter-proposals that the other found unacceptable. Our foremost consideration in these negotiations was the potential impact to students and taxpayers. The challenge with withdrawal is that ultimately there's a $2 to $2.5 million tax shift for mostly second homeowners and Sunday River Ski Resort to other taxpayers in the district. So this is not about tax relief for Newry, it's just a tax shift. And even the general manager of Sunday River Ski Resort has publicly stated that he is in opposition of withdrawal. And if there is a withdrawal vote, the other towns, Greenwood, Woodstock, and Bethel, would have no vote. From my many years of experience passing budgets in SAD 44, I strongly believe that the school board would be faced with huge budget cuts. Many programs that Selectman Jim Largest mentioned that we've innovated would have to be cut, and likely schools would be closed. And the irony here is that Newry would be sending students to a diminished school system, because in all the withdrawal agreements that I saw, we would be the school of record, and they would tuition their students back, as you've heard about it. There are two very important events that have happened since LD 51 was voted on by this committee. As a result of a citizen petition in Newry, there was a question on the ballot in June to end their withdrawal process. It's going to give the voters finally a chance to decide whether they want to continue this or not. And then, very importantly, on Monday, the MSAD school board unanimously approved to request that the Commission of Education allow us to conduct board restructuring. The intent of this is to create a more equitable board by increasing Newry's representation and eliminating current weighted voting. While directors would have to be residents of each town, they would be directors at large and be voted on by all 4 town voters on a referendum ballot. This new system, currently being tried in RSU 6, would finally acknowledge that directors represent the entire district, not just their towns. My last request to you is to ask yourself the fundamental question, is how is Newry's withdrawal going to benefit MSAD 44 students, including Newry students, many of whom would be attending a diminished system? It is a question that has unfortunately gone unanswered by proponents of withdrawal. Thank you, and I'm willing to ask questions. I apologize, I don't have copies. I will submit a copy by email.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Pollock.
Pollock, I'm sorry, I was looking at, Ms. Holmes was the last one, the wrong line, Mr. Pollock. So I think, appreciate your testimony very much, but it sounded like, you did ask me that, are you assuming that it's a foregone conclusion that if Newry were able to vote to withdraw, that they would?
No, I have no idea. And that is why there's finally going to be another vote in June. And the voters can decide right now whether they want to continue this process. It's been very costly in terms of time, energy, money, and it has really divided these communities. And it's been ongoing, not just in the last 2 years, but this is an effort that's been tried in the past. So it's a continual challenge, and it really it sucks energy out of what we need to do to educate our kids.
And do you support their right to do that, to vote on that?
I have mixed feelings about this particular bill. I would rather see it done another way, because I understand that it is considered a nuclear option. But I also have to think about the impact of withdrawal. The impact of withdrawal is disastrous. There is no other way around the fact that $2 to $2.5 million goes away. So that's just a foregone conclusion.
Representative Sampson and Representative Peirce.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm really trying to wrap my brain around all this. So I'm asking you, maybe you're the man to ask this question, because it hasn't been really addressed and it's somehow escaping me. But explain how or why the property taxes of the other towns will go up if Newry withdraws.
Well, it's simple math. $2.5 million gets taken out of the budget. We have already lost huge amounts of state aid, going from, I believe, $3 million about 10 years ago to less than a couple $100,000 now. So that $2.5 million is eliminated from the actual budget. So either that money gets shifted over and absorbed by businesses and taxpayers, or the budget gets cut. And when we don't have enough money in the paperclip account, it's going to be closing schools, stopping programs like sending students to CMCC, the Telstar Freshman Academy, all those educational initiatives that are really serving our students.
So I understand that piece, but, I mean, I do understand that. However, so you brought up, the last point you brought up was the cuts. I mean, could you speak to that a little bit more? Because I think that's probably what you'd be facing, because who wants to increase property taxes?
Right. Well, so again, I can't speak for the board, but you know, we have worked diligently to provide budgets to the district voters that have increased, I think, less than 1% on average in the last 10 years. So imagine what we've heard is up to a 60% tax increase. It's just not going to happen. I'm retired myself. I'm on a fixed income, so I totally understand this is not an area that has a robust economy. Even though Thunder River is doing really well, it's a great resource for the community. The median income is not sufficient to pay 60% increase in property taxes.
Representative Peirce?
Tell me the timing process for your letter to the commissioner about being able to reorganize your board.
We just literally, this was this Monday that we basically voted unanimously. So the superintendent, I believe, is drafting a letter. It's up to the commissioner to then allow us to do that. As soon as that happens, then 3 representatives from each town is appointed to a panel. They basically come up with the restructuring plan, and that restructuring plan then gets approved by the Commissioner of Education. What I really also like about it is that all the candidates are then put on the ballot, and all the district voters will vote. Basically, there's been a very difficult concept for citizens to understand that school directors represent the district and not just their own town. So this will allow all voters to vote on all representatives. And because it's going to be at a ballot referendum, it will have more participation. More voters will be able to vote. They'll be able to vote by absentee ballot. They'll be able to vote during the day. I was just reelected in my town, not a month ago, by 51 voters. That's it. That's who showed up and who voted on my election. And I'm a district representative. So this process, again, I have to be clear, and the board is very clear, that this committee alone will decide. We've passed the baton on to the commissioner, and this committee will then decide. But we believe that the intent, again, is to be more equitable. I totally get the lack of, the concern that Erie has that they're not being represented. I've never been comfortable with weighted votes, and I'm glad to see that there's a potential system that will equalize that, and I will certainly support that.
So why wasn't that why weren't you trying that?
Well, I would ask.
Did I miss a question?
I would ask all of you, we've been told for ad nauseum that the Constitution says one person, one vote, that we can't change the system. And this is a system that has just been established in RSU 6. It's being tried. So our attorney basically literally told us about this not 2 months ago. That's when we found out that this was a possibility. It was not something that was explored during the withdrawal process because we just didn't know about it.
Thank you, and I apologize if I asked
Sure.
a question that has been already
No, you
asked.
didn't.
Okay.
I think you asked one by Bruce, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Taking testimony and support.